We're rolling. This is, do you want to slate this segment too?
Ghostwatch Paranormal Podcast, Brigade Radio 1, Episode 3, Segment 2.
Thank you. 3, 2, 1.
Hi there and welcome back. Nobody's left, so we're all still here. We were talking with our very special guests, Tom and Jen Durant, and I think now is probably the appropriate time to formally introduce them. Tom, by day, is an editor, producer, works on a lot of TV shows and different projects, documentaries. I think that's really your passion. Mm-hmm. And at nighttime, I hate to throw out words, so I'm going to have you introduce yourself and kind of what your field of focus is in the paranormal.
Oh, I was going to say by night I'm still working on documentaries. My side
Probably
projects.
more at night, actually.
Because the day job is like 12 to 17 hours a day, and then after that I'm trying to do my work. But then the paranormal stuff has, I've ever since I was a kid, I had experiences. So when 2000 rolled around, I got involved in doing cases, and then I sort of fell into I call it paranormal consulting because I don't like the word demonologist because I feel like it's too limiting. But people throw the word demonologist out, and it's like, all right, that's fine, whatever makes you feel better. But that's essentially the field of study is malevolent, non-human entities.
Perfect. And again, Tom is literally our mentor. Any issues and questions? Well, we've kind of adopted him that way. He doesn't really have a choice now that we have. Now that we know where he lives, we'll be there on the doorstep. And joining us too is his lovely wife, Jen Durant. And hello. Jen has been very integral in our health and protection, and especially she's been working with Olivia in regards to working with Reiki. So I have a little bit of a list in regards to Jen's title. Reiki Master, Massage Therapist, Nutrition Specialist, Holistic Health and Nutrition Coach.
I think that's everything.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Yeah, that's
Can we do anything? Well,
and an
so
awesome human being just all around.
Thank you so much.
But
she's very pretty.
Oh, thank
that's
you
true.
so much.
I had to lock her down as quickly as possible before she left.
So, and again, with these two guardian angels here on Earth on our shoulders, it helps us be able to move forward and kind of start pushing into different directions in the paranormal. So thank you guys so much for joining us on a special 2-part episode as we kind of go through our experiences at Virginia City. So let's pick back up kind of where Andrew was leaving off, where he was in bed with Olivia, terrified.
I'm sorry, I usually don't have that effect on guys.
I wasn't terrified. I was frustrated.
And that is the effect she normally has on guys.
But I think I left off. We're both laying there awake. We can't sleep. She has the idea to turn the bathroom light on. And as soon as she does, she turns it on, she gets into bed, and we're both laying there. And we're like, there's something happening in this room, and we look at the light and it's getting brighter.
Yeah.
It's like it starts very dim, like poker room, and like 10 seconds later it's like daylight. So she gets up and turns it off, I think, and then she turned the other light on.
Yeah, the water closet, and then I left it slightly ajar. I'm like, I need some light in here or something, just to be like, okay, look, we're still doing our thing, so whatever's in the room, please leave. We're trying to sleep.
Mind you, her diffuser is like this blue, almost nightlight looking thing. So you
Yeah,
have the
it
bathroom light
changes
on, we have this night light on over there.
It was like Vegas.
It was a
You're
show. I
sleeping
think that's
in
why
a
they came
casino.
in. They're like, what show's going on here?
I
Ooh,
think-
Andrew. And then they
yeah.
started touching you or something.
I just wanted to go to sleep.
Yeah, so it was just a night of tiringness. Oh, and then so I was like, I wish we were at the Silverland or something because I could at least have the TV on or have some kind of white noise or whatnot. And then Andrew's like, oh, don't worry, have no fear. I have my phone is here. And then so he puts on his white
Andrew
noise
speaks in
thunderstorm.
Yeah, every night before I go to bed, I have this track on my phone that's like an hour long of thunderstorm noises. It always puts me right to sleep. So I turn it on.
So we turn it on, and it was fine at first. I'm like, okay. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, I'm hearing matrixing or something, or I'm just too damn tired because I start hearing saloon music through his phone. And I'm like, okay, it's time to go to sleep now. But it just seemed like the whole night I couldn't sleep whatsoever. And eventually, I think towards like 4 or 5 in the morning, we probably got some shut-eye and woke up at 8. so not much sleep at all that night.
So
But I
that's
think
what you missed, Kevin.
Yeah.
That's what you missed.
No,
I
but
didn't
I
get
think-
home till 1:30 in the morning and got up at 4:30 to drive up and meet you guys.
That's even worse.
So I was going on
Yeah.
4 hours of sleep as well.
Your night was
Yeah.
much worse than ours.
Oh God, yeah, to have to do 8 hours. But I always wondered though, you know, whatever that was there, you know, was attracted, and I think we were kind of touching on that earlier, was that they sense your light, they sense your openness, they sense your energy in that room. And probably lavender was kind of, you know, icing on the cake. They're like, this is nice. What is this?
Yeah.
And just random sidebar, Paul's in the room next door sleeping like a little baby.
Yes.
Little baby in
Nothing
a
bothered
blanket.
him whatsoever.
Nothing. Oh, I slept so good that night. But then I found out Andrew's getting touched, and I'm like, well, what about me?
Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, well, yeah, literally. But I always wonder too, is that, you know, were they attracted to Andrew's tattoos? You know, and trying
Because
to
they were-
figure out
yeah.
what the heck's going on there.
Yeah, what is this? What is that? Because they were touching and caressing his arms. However, keep in mind, one of the times that I kind of, you know, you're in like that trying to fall asleep, you're kind of dozing off, and then something wakes you up, and you snap back out of it. So one of the times when I snapped back out of it, I had this like mental picture of a woman walking from my side of the bed towards the door, and she was wearing like this nice white dress. It wasn't like a fancy saloon dress or nothing. It was more like a country dress, and it was just a nice plain cloth with a little bow in the back. Very fitted around the waist and around the shoulders and whatnot. Her hair was kind of tied up in a bun. And I had just this mental picture. I was like, okay, I know there's definitely a female in the room. And I never usually get vivid images like that before. But I'm wondering if maybe after the Reiki attunement or whatnot, I'm kind of getting these things a little bit more.
Well, you've also been working on your spiritual development anyway, so it's very possible that just all that work you've been doing, this is how it's paying off. Because for some people, some clairs or abilities will manifest stronger, you know, the more you progress yourself.
It's kind of like a muscle. The more you use it, the more you work it out.
Right.
You know, you kind of get stronger in that sense. So definitely just no rest that night, but nothing bad whatsoever. It was just people, you know, just spirits wandering around, you know, checking you out. What's this bright light doing? You know, and so that's pretty much what it was.
So, I mean, for the listeners or the investigators who are maybe empathic or they do have, you know, kind of different abilities, Jen, what are some things that they can do, kind of coming into a new hotel or a new situation, just to kind of ground themselves or prepare for, you know, kind of the unexpected?
Well, I think they should probably call Olivia here because she's got it all down. Bring your lavender diffuser, wear your stones and things.
And a human shield.
Yeah, exactly.
The human shield.
Exactly.
He was my bait. Andrew was my bait that night.
Well, I
Go
mean,
for him.
as you guys have heard, some of the people on the team here that I'm listening to, Kevin, for instance, I know, and he's not the most sensitive, empathic person right now. I think, you know, he's growing into that. So he was able to sleep really well. Of course, Andrew and Olivia had a little more trouble because they are more sensitive and empathic. And so those of you who are sensitive and empathic, it's really important to spend some time really grounding yourself out before you go on these investigations. Take off your shoes, go outside, touch a tree, be with nature for a little while. Visualize protection around you. That can be a white light, a blue light, just something that makes you feel comfortable that you can put up around your body so you're completely protected. There are different stones and herbs that you can use, essential oils, that are really helpful.
So really the homework begins even before you start.
Absolutely.
On your trip.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it becomes a practice. Like it's, you know, for Jen and I, this part of our life, like what draws us to each other is we're both very spiritual in different ways, but like our practice is our life. And so everything, like every morning I anoint myself with frankincense and I do my prayer to the beings that I ask for assistance every morning. That never stops. Every night before bed, same thing. I do my prayer and my respectful incantation to them to say thank you for watching over me and all this, because these things are out there. And, you know, Jen does Reiki every day, so she's just channeling energy.
Right.
You know, pure
Right.
positive energy throughout the day, which helps keep her centered and balanced.
Sure. And, you know, just the different energies you come across, Jen. You know, just different people, different locations, different, you know, And Olivia just brought out her
Or
her
wearing
lavender
her
one.
stones.
I need a new
Lavender
bag
stones.
because this one's ripping because I use it so much.
Oh, I can get you a better one. I know a guy.
Tom's got the
Thank you
hookup.
to whoever gave me these. I mean.
So that was kind of our experience there at the Silver Queen the first night. So that kind of leads us into, you know, Saturday morning, got up, had some coffee and some breakfast. You know, we waited for Johnny. Johnny showed up next, and then Kevin showed up. And so what we were able to do then is we all got back together, we had dinner. You know, again, good energy. It was great to see everybody. It had been a little bit of time between since we've seen everybody together, and especially on a road trip, which was nice. I think it was the first one with Andrew back. So that was kind of cool because it was kind of like, you know, a little bit of a homecoming experience. So on our plate for Saturday night was Mackey Mansion. Okay, was it Mackey or McKay?
Well, according to Johnny's EVP, the correct pronunciation is McKay.
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 Right. Okay.
But everyone in the town says
Mackey.
that it is Mackey.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I
And
think
then
on the ghost-
even because they were saying what the whole school and everything that he donated, they always named it Mackey. So
Right.
I guess it's kind of just. I don't know.
So I'll go back and forth, but I'll do my best to say McKay because I don't want to piss them off any more than it already has been done. So let me just set the tone for that. It's our first visit to McKay Mansion. We'd always seen it. Obviously, you know, we knew about it on Ghost Adventures. It's this 3-story kind of colonial brick building, and what it was kind of like the miner's office, if you will, business office. That's where George Hurst, and they call him, I guess, what was it, the Kings of Silver or something?
Mhm.
But those are the guys who literally hit it big. I think they were saying it was like $100 billion.
Mhm. Which in today's
silver, right.
in today's money, it would be like $1 trillion or something.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
said it would be trillions.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So basically said he's the
crazy.
Bill Gates of the 1800s.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, it was insane the amount of money and silver that they pulled from this mine. So anyway, so fortunes were made and workers were good, and it was good times there at Virginia City. That was kind of, you know, one of their Mr. McKay's house that he eventually kind of moved into. His wife, Mrs. McKay, didn't like the pioneer life so much. She was more of a Parisian fan in Europe and the finer things, so she really didn't stay a whole lot of time there at the mansion. So they slept in separate bedrooms, which I guess for married couples down the line, I guess that's the way to go to keep things happy. I don't know.
Separate houses eventually.
And you know, different people would stay in her room throughout the time. Jeffrey Fair.
Jeffrey Fair, yeah.
Jeffrey Fair. That was the gentleman who stayed a lot of the time when Mrs. McKay was out in Europe living the high life. So those names will come up during the story just to kind of set a picture for you. On the main level, when you walk in, it's the office. There's a parlor. There's also an incredible vault safe that's there right off the lobby. And apparently, 2 armed men tried to rob it at one point in time, not knowing that they actually had an armed guard who stayed inside the safe 24/7. I don't know how he breathed. I didn't get to that part of the question, but apparently they had an armed guard in there 24/7. And then where did he go to the bathroom? Anyway, so they broke into the safe, not knowing that there was somebody standing there with a shotgun ready to take them out. And so 2 people were taken out there in the lobby of that location. So that's 2 people that we know for sure had passed away there violently. Downstairs was fascinating because there was the kitchen, the formal dining room, access to outside in the backyard. But the dining room table was phenomenal.
Mhm.
It was original to the building.
It's seen the likes of Thomas Jefferson,
Alexander Graham Bell.
Mark Twain.
Yeah.
I forget the other names.
Ulysses Grant.
Yeah.
Ulysses
Mr.
Grant.
Grant. Me.
Thomas Durant.
But that was roped up.
Head of
We
the
weren't-
table.
We weren't allowed to go in there for obvious reasons.
It still had the original carpet laid down from the 1800s.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
original
amazing.
carpet, original table.
Yeah, we had to walk around in our socks.
And you don't come across that often in these very old historic
No.
places. A lot of places are just, you know, refurbished and re-renovated, and so you have the actual material that these people walked on that, so it kind of still resonates all
Yep,
that
and most of
energy.
the furniture pieces were original as well.
Yes.
It's kind of gross though.
Well, yeah, when you think about it.
I mean, I'm a little bit of a clean freak, but like that's a little gross. Like, walking around, where somebody's boots who've been just in horse crap outside. It's just kind of weird.
Well, we won't tell you about the gold-plated bathroom that they have upstairs.
No.
It's incredible, and it's original,
Right out.
and it's
Right out.
and it's real.
Super expensive.
Super expensive, yeah, more than a quarter to go. And then you go upstairs. You have attic access. There's 2 children's bedrooms off to your right. There's Mr. McKay's right to the left, and then Mrs. McKay's room right next to his. And then also on that level, you're able to access the balcony that's outside in the front that you can kind of see in all the iconic pictures of McKay Mansion. So that kind of just sets the setting for what's about to happen. So we arrived, and the first thing that I think that I took notice of was the wind. I think we all mentioned the wind, but I remember going to Andrew and Kevin and Johnny, and I sounded like this weird little housewife or hen running around going, "Ooh, there's some energy going on here. Something's going to happen."
He was just afraid a house was going to get dropped on him.
Well, yeah. Look how it worked out the last time. Fool me once. Don't fool me twice. So that was the first thing that I think you took notice of, was just the energy that was flying around that night. I mean, it was crazy. Because it wasn't windy the first night, was it?
Not that I remember.
I don't know. Yeah. I
No,
mean,
but
but
then
then
again,
again, that's
it's
lower
further-
in the mountains.
it's further down the
yeah,
hill.
lower down.
I mean, one street down.
Well, you never know.
It's not like the climate change and it was snow. So anyway, so that was the first thing that I think kind of like I took notice on and was like, okay, there's something going on. So
And Dawn, who is she does the tours and whatnot of the place, very sweet lady, super
Wonderful lady.
nice. Even she was saying that all day, she just felt this buzzing in the house. She's like, the energy's so crazy today, you guys are gonna have a crazy active night.
She said her head was itching.
Yeah.
But that might have been the bed bugs.
Ew. But she and she also said it was during that day that they had, I think it might have been the great grandchildren of the Hursts actually come through, and one of the kids looked like
Exactly like the picture on one of the walls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was really
interesting.
kind of cool. So that might have been no. That was
Busted.
fun.
Aw.
Rule number 1, my mom's trying to FaceTime. Sorry, Mom.
So she wants on the radio.
Does she have anyone else's number? Because that phone might go off next.
No, she doesn't. Good thing.
So yeah, no, Dawn was wonderful. She showed us everything. She was complimentary. She's like, "You guys have some great energy. This is going to be a fun night."
Oh, you forgot to mention the experience that Johnny Depp had in the
Oh,
upstairs
go for
bedroom.
it, please.
Well, she was saying that they were filming something in 1995. I don't remember the movie title. But he was staying in Mr. McKay's room, and she didn't say which night it was, but at one point he woke up to a child jumping on his bed, but as soon as he tried to communicate with the girl, she disappeared.
Right. And he still talks
And he
about
still
it.
talks about it in interviews, she said. So that's wild. So you have all these big names that are staying in this mansion, and that everyone's like...
Are having experiences. Now, just as an aside, before we went, Tom and Jen, you guys have heard of McKay Mansion. Have you guys been there before? Or?
No, we've both been to Virginia. One of our first date weekends was actually in Virginia City.
Oh, really?
As terribly creepy as that is. So, like, I mean, and I had been up there a few times, but most of the stuff we had been doing was at the, oh God, what's the name of that place? Son of a gun, I forget. St. Mary's.
Oh, the
St. Mary's
hospital.
Hospital.
Real hospital,
And
yeah.
then we also did stuff at the washout a little bit, which or Washer House.
Worcestershire.
They all have two names over there.
I'm a New Englander, so everything's gonna come out sounding like this. So, yeah. Anyway, so I mean, we've had some experiences there, and there's definitely some interesting energies. I know Jen, when we were up there, had to stay in the least haunted place ever, which was that little strip motel.
Oh, no way, when you first get in?
Whenever I go on any kind of a overnight investigation anywhere, I always call ahead and ask for the non-haunted room
Oh, you're
or
the
the
one.
most non-haunted hotel. Yeah, I'll drive an hour away if I have to,
Uh-huh.
just so I don't have to stay in the haunted. Because I'm like these guys, I can't sleep, with anything looking at me or
Sure.
poking me.
It's unsettling.
I want to sleep. At least some.
Let
So-
them stare at me. I don't have anything to hide. I've seen it.
But I've never been to the Mackay, whatever.
McKay.
McKay house. I've never been there, so.
It's much more fancy when you say McKay.
It is
McKay.
McKay.
The McKay
I agree.
house.
So, I mean, once we were getting settled in, we talked to Dawn, and we kind of made the living room office kind of our base camp. So the boys decided, well, let's start kind of going on upstairs. Olivia, you were kind of, after the walkthrough, because it was kind of cool because you were actually able to walk around with Johnny and everybody and kind of get a sense of the place.
Right. So because of my recent Reiki attunement, and there was just kind of things coming at me where like, I'm not going to investigate tonight. And, I kind of kept asking Jen, I kept contacting her. I'm like, what should I do? What should I, and I kind of had something telling me, just don't do it, just don't do it, just don't do it. And so I didn't, so I just went in just for the walkthrough, just to check it out, just to see what it's like. Fully protected, even just being in there. And so the whole time I was picking up a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, I think even a little bit more so than Johnny at first. I was just like, oh my gosh, there's something here. Something just rubbed against my leg. And, even Dawn's like, oh, that's the dog or the cat. We have a haunted dog or a cat here. And so it was really cool just being able to go in and walk through and feel out the rooms. And the one children's room I definitely felt a lot out of. I kind of was just kind of drawn to that one.
Was it the one with the rocking horse? Or
Yes,
the other one? Okay.
yeah, that one. Mr. McKay, his room, so I mean, definitely picking up certain vibes. I did not like the basement whatsoever, or the lower level room where this shadow creature. After I kind of was like, okay, I don't really like this area. Dawn then mentioned, oh yeah, the shadow guy likes to hang out underneath the stairs. I'm like, yeah, okay, bye bye. And so I go back up.
And we always know that anyone who hangs out under the stairs, bad news, right off.
Right.
Unless you're Harry Potter. It was okay.
Debatable.
So the whole walkthrough was great. I mean, and then we went back the next day just during the daytime just to kind of check things out. But I was definitely closed off, as shielded as possible just because I didn't want anything. I just didn't want to interact. I was closed off to them. So,
Right.
Sorry,
And I was
closed for business.
and I was glad that our friends Julie and Monica were there. And Peggy. No, Peggy didn't go.
No, Peggy wasn't there.
That's right.
Because she's a Reiki master as well, and she actually knows Jen and Tom, I think. And, yeah.
Small
So it
paranormal
was
world.
pretty crazy to, first time meeting her, I'm like, hey, we both have the same Reiki master, and, all that. So it was really cool. So I was just like, I'm going to hang the night. When the guys go in, do their investigation, I'll go back to the miners' cabin and hang out with them, and we played poker with the miners and, had some cheese and wine and just relax. So it was very nice just to kind of be around that energy at this time after being attuned and whatnot. So
Yeah, because it's unsettling. I mean, it's like hitting a raw nerve, or if you've got a cut and you just keep on tapping it, and you're like, oh, okay.
But also, it was the wise choice because it got kind of real up in there.
right, and so
I did.
Just the way you said it, though.
I love it.
The Chicago comes out of Andrew.
He's
at
so
the
emotive.
most
He's so emotive. I love
bizarre
it.
times.
It did.
But it was what was funny too. Well, and I'll let the guys continue on with their talk, but just so the listeners know that I didn't investigate, and then even that night, the second night, I didn't stay at the Silver Queen. I stayed with the ladies at the miners' cabin instead. And let me tell you, I finally got good night's sleep that night. So it was nice.
I didn't even sleep in my room. I slept in your room.
Because and so
It was still
I
too
came
hot.
back. I took all my stuff. I took my little lavender diffuser, and I was like, "Don't worry, you could stay the night in there. It's still all nice and lavendered up." And
Okay, so let's come back to what was going on at Mackey Mansion. And so what'll happen is we'll tell the story. We'll take a break. We'll continue this because we want to talk about a little bit more of the darker stuff that happened at McKay, and then absolutely what happened at the miners' cabin on Sunday night on part 2. But I want Kevin to go ahead and kind of set up what the investigation was, because we set up equipment throughout the house, and a lot of it was stationary this time.
Yeah, I mean, when we started, the dining room downstairs, again, I've been working all week, so I haven't really had a chance to go through and review any of my footage yet. This takes so long to go through. You know, when you're running 3-4 cameras on a 4-hour investigation, that's 12 to 16 hours of stuff to go through. So I'm still working on going through it. But the dining room downstairs, I had one of my X cameras, infrared X cameras, set up down there. And for those of you that don't know exactly what an infrared camera does, it basically allows you to see in complete darkness without projecting any light. And the infrared picks up in a higher light spectrum that you can see with your eyes. So infrared, ultraviolet, either one, you can see things that most people normally can't see.
And we left those there because
I left those